Good morning. Hope you're having a great beginning to this glorious day. So, amongst the classes that I teach, every second Wednesday morning, I have an 8 o'clock class with a group of parents who actually had their kids at Rashi, and now they're all graduated. And we study on every second Wednesday. Bunch of guys, a great class, an hour, get to discuss Torah and Jewish thought. And today, we were studying Bereshit, Genesis. We were studying the creation of the world. Bereshit, bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. God created the world. In the beginning, God created heavens and earth. And one of them asked me, and he said that throughout his life, he's always struggled between. He was born into a family that believed in science and evolution, and as he got older, he started thinking more about creation and God, etc., etc. And he asked me, "What are my thoughts, and how do I reconcile the two of them?" And I'm not going to go into the whole theological questions and science questions, but I want to tell you a story and speak about purpose. And the story takes us back to Spain, and it takes us to a time when, in the 15th century, when the Jews still, or the beginning of 15th century, when the Jews still lived there, and there was many of the kings had what they would call a chacham. A chacham was a wise, intelligent Jewish sage who would be one of their advisors. And the story is told about this one king who had a Jewish chacham, an advisor, who guided him in his many things. And the king was an atheist. Besides being an atheist, he also loved art, and he loved painting. And he was actually very talented in creating beautiful pieces of art. And he had a full, exquisite, beautiful room in his palace that was dedicated to art and to painting. And he had the best canvases and the best oil paint and the best brushes and the best weather and atmosphere in the room to be able to paint and draw these exquisite paintings. And one day him and his Jewish advisor always argued about creation versus evolution, so to speak. If there's God, if there isn't a God, if the world is just by chance, or is the world really created by God. And one day the king was sitting with his chacham in his paint room, in his art room, and suddenly he was called out for an emergency, and he left the room and he went to deal with the emergency, and he came back a few hours later. And as he comes back a few hours later, he sees right there's this most exquisite, beautiful painting. I mean, of every detail: the heaven, the clouds, the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, and then there's trees and bushes and roses and grass and benches and roads, and it was just like one of the most beautiful paintings he's ever seen. So he turns to the Jewish chacham, to his teacher and his advisor, and he says, "Tell me, I never knew that you paint so beautifully and you have such a talent in art. Why did you never tell me this?" And the chacham looks at him and says, "What are you talking about?" He says, Look what you just painted. This is the most exquisite painting I've ever seen. It's the most detailed piece of art." And the chacham looks at him and says, "Well, I didn't paint that." He says, "You didn't realize when you left the room, you left the windows open. And there was a strong breeze that came in, a wind, and it knocked down the jugs of paint, and it spilled. Look at the floor. You'll see the jugs are tilted on the side, and it spilled. And as the paint spilled, this painting showed up just from the spill." And the guy the king looks at the advisor. "What, are you being silly to me? Why are you lying to me? Of course you did this." He says, "No, I didn't." And the king says, "Look at the details. Look, I see the sky, and I see each star so meticulously drawn, and I see the clouds, and I see the sun, and I see the moon, and look at those trees, every leaf, every branch. It's impossible." He says, "I'm telling you," he says, "it's impossible. Something with so much detail should just have come by an accident of the wind blowing over the jugs. It can't be. And the Chacham looked at the king and he says, listen to your words. Listen to what you're saying. You're telling me that this painting that took me a mere few hours to paint has to be painted by a person, has to be done intentionally because there's so many details. Yet you want to tell me this vast world we live in with so many galaxies and so many stars and so many human beings and animals and organic vegetation and creation of life, you're telling me that that all happened by chance? Think about it. And whenever someone asks me if I believe in evolution or creation, and what do I say about science, before I always get to talk about the science part, I always tell them this story. I say, you tell me what makes more sense. And there's another thing too, and this is what I wanted to leave you with for today. As Jews, our greatest responsibility is to live with a purpose in life. We say in the Aleinu, the ending service that we say every day when we pray, we say, L'taken olam b'malchus shin daled yod, to correct and to fix and to perfect this world with the name of God. That's where the whole idea that's very popular in the Jewish world today is tikkun olam, which means to fix and to perfect the world. The Kabbalists tell us from the word that King Solomon tells us that God gave us basili gani achoti kala. God gave us a garden, and He wants us to spruce out the weeds and to make sure the roses continue to grow so beautifully and the grass and so on and so forth. As Jews, we believe in living with a purpose. What differentiates us from the animals? God created the animals in this week's Torah portion, and then He created the humans. But why are humans different than animals? So yes, we have the idea that humans have free choice. B'tselem Elokim, we're creating the image of God, and animals don't. But there's something much deeper. Animals don't live with a purpose. They get up in the morning, they want to eat, they want to run, they want to mate, they want to get food for their children, and the same thing goes day after day. But humans and Jewish people, we live with a purpose. Tikkun olam, l'taken olam b'malchus shin daled yod, to make this world a better place. And when you believe in creation, you believe in God. It gives you a sense of purpose and a sense of identity and a sense of knowing who we are. So yes, I always say, people say, Rabbi, but there's so many questions. How could God do this? How could God do that? So, Judaism is a religion that doesn't necessarily believe that for every question you need an answer. You can have a question and there is no answer. Judaism allows questions, not like other religions. It doesn't mean we have an answer to every question. And it doesn't mean that because you don't have an answer that it's untrue. That's the beautiful power, the paradox of Judaism, of how we live our lives. There's the old joke and adage that speaks about the Jewish atheist who lived in New York, and he sent his kid to the most private preppy school, which happened to be a Catholic school. And one day the kid came home, and the kid starts telling the dad about the Trinity. And the father gets white, and he grabs the kid by the collar, and he says, listen, kiddo, there's only one God, and we don't believe in Him. So my friends, is it creation? Is it evolution? Creation is our purpose in life. Creation is our idea that we have a responsibility, that God gave us a garden, a beauty. Look behind me, look at the trees, look at the colors, look at the beauty of this world. It's not here by chance, it's not here by mistake, it's here because God created this world. And you know what He did with mankind? He brought us into the world la'avda u'lashamra. The Bible tells us in today's portion, God brought us here to work and to protect. What does it mean to work and to protect? To work and to protect means to guard the institutions of morality, of ethics, the beauty of this world, to look after our world, our climate, but also li'avda, to make it a better place, to perfect it. It says that when a Jew says Vayechulu, which is the verse where God says He finished working on the seventh day, on the sixth day, at the end of the day, and rested on the seventh day. When a Jew says that, and when a Jew works in this world, we become partners with God in creation. We are partners because He put us in this world. He gave us the free choice to be able to make this world a more beautiful place, to make this world a better place. That's our job. Go out there, have purpose, have meaning in your life, make a difference, and hopefully we can wake up to a better world every day. God bless.